As I told you earlier, much of the pressure on the UK to reform its bribery laws arose from our apparent or alleged failure to be seen to robustly sanction the bribery of foreign public officials. And of course this has become a much bigger problem since globalization, the globalization of trade. In UK companies, in common with many other companies of many other countries, they concentrate on foreign trade, supplying goods and services around the world, very often to developing countries. And the worry was always not that our companies set out to bribe, but that they were trying to do business in a culture where bribes were extorted from them, or where their competitors, other countries which didn't have such strong rule of law norms, would have an unfair competitive advantage because they would bribe their way into business. And so as long as we didn't legislate, there was this terrible suspicion that we were turning a blind eye to unethical corporate behavior. But now that's all over. We have the Bribery Act 2010, and most particularly, we have Section 6, a discrete offence of bribing a foreign public official. Let me just go back to our notes and have a look at it. We see that Section 6 criminalises the act of bribing a foreign public official. And in so doing, it implements one of, as I say, the OECD working group on bribery's key recommendations, and we do that. The Act itself says what a public official is, isn't, and that's not an easy thing. We know what a government official is if he's a real government employee, but the Act covers, for example, employees of the United Nations, the IMF, the World Bank. These are all organizations which are covered by this Act. And it's an increasingly difficult subject. Be very careful if you have to come across this behavior. Have a look at whether the person being bribed or persons being bribed are actually public officials. But don't remember, there have been cases where doctors, for example, are only employed part-time by the state, but the activity involved their conduct, the conduct when they were working for the state. And more around the world, there's a blurring between private employment and the employment by the state. And that's the blurring that's going to be a problem, because if you want to prosecute somebody under Section 6, the bribing foreign public official must make sure it comes with the definition of a public official. Remember what I said earlier. Forget about what the cultural norms are. They don't matter. The safest thing with foreign public officials is to give them nothing, directly or indirectly. Yes, it's difficult. Go and have a look at the Ministry of Justice guidelines and see what they believe is permissible.